Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Srijita. All set?
You can't hear.
Can't hear you. You can't hear me?
It's clear now. It's
Okay.
fine.
So all set?
Yes, ma'am. All
You're
right.
very smart.
Thank you, ma'am.
Perfect.
Dr. Kafka is coming in, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Kafka. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you. And please call me Stella, your colleagues here.
Okay. It's really nice to see you here, and we are waiting to start our podcast with you. So, without wasting any further time, I shall start with my greetings, if that's okay with you.
Of course. I was really looking forward to this conversation. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hello, warm greetings to everyone joining us from across the globe. It is a pleasure to welcome you to the inaugural podcast episode of our online podcast series on women in science. Today marks the beginning of a journey in which we celebrate the achievements, leadership, and inspiring stories of women who are shaping the world of science. Before we begin our conversation, it is my privilege to introduce our distinguished guest by sharing a brief profile of her remarkable journey. Dr. Stella Kafka is an astronomer and science leader with extensive experience in research, scientific publishing, and community engagement. She served as the executive director of the American Met Society until 2025. Prior to that, she was the executive director of the American Association of Variable Star Observers, AAVSO. Earlier in her career, she held positions at the Cerro Tololo Inter-American Observatory, CTIO, the Spitzer Science Center at Caltech, the Carnegie Institution of Washington's Department of Terrestrial Magnetism, DTM, and AIP Publishing. Dr. Kafka is deeply passionate about building inclusive scientific communities. She's committed to creating safe and supportive spaces for women, while working to challenge unconscious biases that create barriers in the workplace and beyond. She believes that with curiosity, collaboration, and courage, the sky is not the limit. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our esteemed guest, Dr. Stella Kafka. Dr. Kafka, it is a great pleasure to welcome you to the inaugural episode of our Women in Science podcast series. We are truly honored to have you with us. With immense pride, I now invite our student host, Ms. Srijita of Grade 10, Kerala Public Schools, to lead today's conversation with our distinguished guest. Srijita, over to you.
Thank you, Sangeeta, ma'am. So, hi everyone and namaste. I'm Srijita from Kerala Public Schools, India, and I welcome you to the very first episode of a journey among the stars. Today, we have an absolutely incredible guest with us, an astrophysicist, a science leader, and someone who has spent her life studying the stars, literally. Please welcome Dr. Stella Kafka. We welcome you, ma'am. A very good morning to you and namaste. It's
Good
truly an
morning to
honor
you
being a
all.
student to have been given this opportunity to conduct this with you, ma'am. It's
And it's
truly a
an
privilege.
honor for me to join you in this momentous occasion. Thank you so much for having me, and I really look forward to this conversation today.
Thanks to you, ma'am, for joining us here today. Okay, so before we dive in, just a quick note for everyone watching. Any views, opinions, or personal stories Dr. Kafka shares with us today are entirely her own. They don't represent any organization she is or has been associated with. This is simply Dr. Kafka speaking as herself. So, a little bit about Dr. Kafka. She is an astrophysicist who specializes in variable stars, meaning that stars that change in brightness over time. She has authored more than 40 research papers and has led major scientific societies in the US. And today works on global science initiatives that connects astronomers across the world. She was born and raised in Athens, Greece, speaks four languages, and has lived and worked across three continents. Honestly, Dr. Kafka, we have so much to ask you, so let's just get started. Let's start light, let's keep it fun. We heard that you had a nickname growing up, the Stella phenomenon. What did you do to earn that?
Oh my goodness, I really wish I did something magic and something special. The truth of the matter is that that is a name that my mother was calling me. And in my native language, Stella doesn't mean anything. Having said that, it's a name that I've been holding with pride, and it has become my personal brand other than a name I listen to. Thank you so much for pointing it out. It's it's wonderful actually to have a name that I can associate with as a professional. It was completely accidental. The name did not carry it within my career, but it just so happened that Stella means star in Latin, and I am an astrophysicist.
Oh, great. It just shows that some accidents are magical too. That
That's
was a
very
fun
true.
start. Okay, so next one. You grew up in Athens, a big city with no dark skies for stargazing. So, how did a city kid fall in love with stars?
You know, that's a question that I have been asked many times. Um, I was a curious child when I was growing up, even before I knew what astronomy was. You're absolutely right. Athens is a large city. It's very light polluted. All you can see from where I grew up was the moon and planet Jupiter on a really good day, and of course the sun during daytime. But as a child, I was very curious about the world and how the world worked. I was always asking questions: why, how, what if? And I was really very fortunate that my parents never dismissed those questions and they encouraged them. And this was before the internet. I'm dating myself here. It was a time where we were reading books when we wanted to learn something. We were opening encyclopedias, which is very similar to Wikipedia. So I spent countless hours reading about science, nature, and about the universe. And every book, I opened another door and created 10 more questions. So looking back, I realized that I wasn't just collecting facts, I was discovering the joy of learning as a child. And over time, one thing that I've come to appreciate is that children are natural scientists, no matter where you grow up. They explore the world with all of our senses. They observe, they experiment, they imagine, they ask endless questions, and they're not afraid to be wrong. And somewhere along the way, many adults lose that instinct, but scientists never really do. We simply find ways to keep asking questions throughout our lives. So, yes, I did grow up in a big, light polluted city, but then even my natural curiosity led me to eventually study physics, which is a science that explores the world. Astronomy was the field that captured my imagination afterwards because it asked some of humanity's biggest questions. How did the universe begin? Are we alone? How do stars and galaxies evolve? And I love that astronomy combines imagination with evidence. You can dream big, even if you live in a big city. but you can also have to test your ideas against what nature tells you and imagine phenomena that are more dynamic and larger than our experience here on Earth. It's a science and an art at the same time, and you can do it anywhere you are.
And that curiosity clearly never left you. And I'm loving it. Okay, so quick one now. This is a rapid fire. Just say whichever comes first. Physics or astronomy? Which one did you fall in love with first?
Physics.
Physics.
Astronomy is part of physics.
Okay, nice one. So we have the last question for this round. Did your parents ever imagine you'd end up studying stars for a living?
Oh dear. You know, I never had a single time where I thought, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. My journey was much more gradual than that. But what stayed constant through my childhood and education was, again, the desire of understanding how nature works, curiosity, as you mentioned. And as I continue my studies, I realized that science wasn't just about knowing things, it was about discovering. It's a way of thinking. It's about observing, asking good questions, testing ideas, and being willing to change your mind when the evidence point to a new direction. And I found that process incredibly exciting. And eventually that translated into astronomy. Why do stars shine? Why do planets move the way they do? And every time I learned the answer to one question led to three more. That endless chain of discovery is what keeps drawing me forward. So no, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was younger. I knew I wanted to keep asking questions. I knew I wanted to keep exploring the world around me. And pretty much, I just wanted to never stop learning. Astronomy simply became the perfect vehicle for that curiosity because the universe is full of mysteries that we're still trying to understand. And that's actually, an important message for everyone. You don't have to know exactly what you do when your life starts or when you are at a young age. It is enough to follow what genuinely fascinates you. If you keep nurturing your curiosity and say yes to opportunities to learn, your path often reveals itself one step at a time.
And that's what actually matters in life, to never stop learning. Okay,
Yes,
so
and
that's
never
a
stop
great
asking
picture
questions.
of where you started. Now let's get into the science a bit. We'll keep it simple. So my first question goes to you that if you had to explain what a variable star is to a grade 7 student using something from everyday life, what would you compare it to then?
So if we take a step back from that, variable stars are stars whose brightness change over time. Some changes happen over the course of a few hours, and some others over days, months, or even years. These are time scales that we can actually observe during our lifetime. Stars that I loved to study are cataclysmic variables, and these are two objects together, where one of which is pretty much the mass of the sun squeezed to the size of the Earth, a dense object. And the other one's a star like the sun. So if you put the star like the sun closer to the very dense object, that very dense object's gravity is grabbing material from the other star and cannibalizes it. So I was studying stellar cannibals. So stars that are actually eating their companion. And guess what the fun fact is? What happens when you eat too fast a lot of food? You throw up, right? Those stars do that as well. So when they grab a lot of material really quickly from their companion, they there's some kind of indigestion that is happening on them, and they throw up, they explode. And these are nova explosions, nova eruptions. These are phenomena that we study and we observe and we study in the universe. So that's what I tell a seventh grade student. I am studying stars that throw up
Oh,
after
that was such a fun
cannibalizing the
way.
companion. These are
That was
fun
such a
stars to
fun way to
study.
pick. Yeah, actually. You have also said that seeing the center of the Milky Way for the first time was unforgettable. Can you take us there? What did that moment feel like?
It's, I don't have words. You have to experience it. Coming from a big city, again, not having experienced the night sky, even going to a dark site was unforgettable for the very first time. You feel so small under the vastness of the sky. So when I moved to Cerro Tolol Inter-America Observatory, I was already past my PhD. I already had my doctorate. And I was there as a fellow and as a director of a program that brought students actually to the observatory to study stars. And we were observing with some of my students under the Chilean night sky. You can see the center of the Milky Way much better from the southern hemisphere. And I was just looking at that vastness, that beauty, that power. And I felt so small and so big at the same time. Just having that experience, having that realization of where we are in the universe. And truly, astronomy teaches you both humility and perspective. We live on a planet around a really boring star. Our star is 4.6 billion years old. Our planet is 4.6 billion years old. We're going to live 100 years. So within that time frame, our life is just nothing, just a clap of fingers. So, and we live on a planet that's so beautiful, so rich. So we better make something out of those 100 years. We better learn, we better do good for our fellow citizens, and we better know our place in the universe. So that was my experience under that sky. And every time I have the opportunity to go out and look up and bathe in that light, I do it.
Ma'am, when I was a kid, I used to think that the Milky Way is just a pathway made up of milk in the sky.
Oh
But
goodness,
now I
it's a
truly
name.
wish to see what the Milky Way is when I grow up. Definitely, yes.
It's very bright because, and there is a reason behind it. Has to do with star forming regions that are on the disk of our galaxy. But at the same time, it's the name comes from the Greek mythology, and we can tell the story at some point. But I'm going to challenge your listeners to look up the reason why the Milky Way galaxy is called Milky Way. So it's our own home. It's our home galaxy. And I think that everyone should experience it at least once.
Definitely, yes. Now, here's one I think a lot of us are curious to know about. What's one thing that amateur astronomers with just a backyard telescope can actually discover that surprises people? I mean, without much equipment, what can we do to that?
Everything. You can do everything. You need to realize that astronomers, professional astronomers, number one, don't have the time to observe variable stars, the time domain astrophysics. And they don't have the means to observe variable stars in the time domain of astrophysics. The means that we have right now look at deep in the universe, very deep, but not our local neighborhood, not our own galaxy that much. So amateur astronomers contribute vastly by following the life and the brightness changes of variable stars again and again and again. Remember, they're variables because they change and they change over time. And sometimes they surprise us. Even when we think we understand the reason behind that change, the phenomena that is described by that change, stars surprise us. So thanks to amateur astronomers, thanks to small telescope observers, thanks to binocular observers, we haven't lost track of the behaviors of those stars. We have made amazing discoveries. Even nova eruptions are being discovered by amateur astronomers because professional astronomers were just not looking at that part of the sky and they don't know the night sky that well. So the contribution is incredible and vast and extremely valuable to astrophysics because without those observations and data analysis skills that non-professional astronomers bring, we wouldn't have made a lot of progress when it comes to variable star astronomy. So if anyone is interested in getting involved, the AAVSO has a lot of really good resources that one can go and tap out in. They're free and learn how to observe variable stars and contribute to science.
Yes. Just like the stars, even big or small, every astronomer also contributes to a big change, of course.
Yes, and
Okay.
we
So
need to
now,
realize that astronomy is and astrophysics is a science that require collaboration for progress. And collaboration doesn't come only from a group of professionals. It comes from a group of citizens. Citizens are collaborators, professional astronomers. We really need to recognize and celebrate that.
definitely. Now, last one for this round. It's again a rapid fire. What's the coolest thing in space that most people don't know about?
The sun. Most people know about it, but they don't think it's the coolest thing in space. We have an amazing star. Our star is fascinating. I mean, even solar cycles that we think we understand are unpredictable now. And and the way that it interacts with our planet, the way that we depend on that star is amazing. I think that our sun is the most amazing star that we got to study. And it's very nearby, and that's why we know a lot about it. But we still keep learning more as we go.
I think we just learned more in 10 minutes than in a whole textbook chapter of space and science. So let's shift the gears now and talk about your journey. From doing
Mm.
science to leading scientists. You've led a major scientific societies and now work on global science initiatives. So, what's the biggest difference between doing science and leading scientists?
Um, you know, Early in my career, I started by doing the science myself, right? But over time, I realized that there are many ways to contribute to science. Some people make discoveries in the laboratory or at a telescope, and others build instruments, they develop software, they teach students or communicate science to the public. And I discovered that my greatest impact wasn't only through my own research, it was by creating the conditions that allow many scientists to succeed. I became fascinated by the organizations that make science possible: professional societies, research institutions, journals, conferences, educational programs, schools, and international collaborations. When these organizations are healthy, inclusive, and well led, they amplify the work of thousands of scientists. And that is what inspired my transition to leadership. Truly, what I do is strengthening the organizations that enable science. I help organizations develop strategies, build partnerships, support their communities, and create opportunities for scientists at every stage of their careers, and also provide opportunities and pathways to younger leaders who want to follow science in a very changing environment, in a very changing world. And one of the things that I hope you can take away here is that there's no one path to make a difference in science. Whether you're conducting research, whether you're designing technology, you're teaching, you're leading an organization, or you communicate discoveries, you are the part of the same mission. Science advances because people with many different talents work together, and every one of those contributions truly matters.
Now, besides the scientist, I see a great leader and mentor in you.
Thank you.
Here's a bigger question. What was the scariest moment in your career? The one where you thought, can I actually do this? Anything that scared you?
Being a scientist, you learn how to deal with uncertainty. You learn how to be wrong when you make an assumption. You learn how answers are not just appearing. You really need to go and find them. It's not scary necessarily, but it's something that you have to learn. And you learn actually by doing and by trying and making mistakes. Uh, a learning moment for me was to not be afraid to say, I do not know, but here's how I'm going to find out. And that came gradually. So I feel sometimes I'm fearless, and I feel sometimes I'm scared, but I can't exactly pinpoint any specific moment in my career. Again, I learned how to deal with uncertainty. And if not anything else, variable stars teach you that things vary with time, they change with time. So don't take anything for granted, but be prepared and not really be surprised. So I know I'm not answering your question directly, but frankly, I think I am ready for everything in life and in science. One of the scary things that is something that um, you cannot prevent in life is when you see loved ones passing away. So a year ago, I lost my dear father, who was a father figure, cheerleader. He was my everything. And I don't think that science or life has prepared me for that. But I am really grateful for his guidance and for his constant support. And I feel he's always with me.
Thank you for being so honest about that. Your father must be so proud of you now. Okay, so moving forward to next. You speak 4 languages and have worked on 3 continents. How has that shaped the way you lead?
Made me more understanding and it made me more patient. And if not anything else, it made me pause and think before acting. We live on the same planet, but we represent many cultures, we represent many backgrounds. And those cultures have depth and roots in them that are reflected in our everyday life, in our careers, in our jobs, in our way of thinking, in our way of growing. That's what makes us working together so powerful. But having said that, uh, living in a place that was completely different to my own. When I first moved to the United States as a graduate student, it was a completely new experience. When I moved to Chile and I didn't speak Spanish at the time, it was a completely new experience. Connecting with the people and trying to communicate was a learning experience. So lessons learned from all those is actually pause and try to understand the people that I'm working with and the people that I interact with on a day-to-day basis more deeply. See where they come from, see what they value, how we can connect based on those values. And then we can talk about science. But it's all about the humans, the connection, the background, and the lessons learned. How we can enrich what we're trying to achieve by bringing what makes us special, by bringing our backgrounds, by bringing our culture, by bringing our language. And also, what are the nuances in language that sometimes leads to funny mistakes or misunderstandings, but we both need to be aware of so that we continue our communication, we continue our work. Language is a means of communication. It's a means of bringing together uh, concepts and helping them grow. So at some point, I would love to learn another language if I have time and if I have the energy. But the main idea is that, again, from those experiences, from those interactions, how can I improve myself more when it comes to working with other people by understanding where they come from?
Before proceeding further, I would just like to say thank you to you for explaining such complex topics in a very easy way. Thank you so much for
Thank you for
that.
the opportunity.
It's an opportunity for me indeed. Okay, that was a great perspective from you. Now, I want to move into something a lot of students watching today will really connect with. Let's have the real talk about women in the field of science.
Mm.
Did you ever feel like you didn't belong in a room because you were the only woman there? And if yes, then what did you do? How did you deal with it?
Oh dear. Uh, haven't I been in rooms where I'm the minority or the other room? Interestingly, I never felt I never belonged. It was just a bizarre experience. When you have a group of individuals who sound differently than you and look differently than you. But I am used to being in rooms with individuals from all over the world. So being different is not bad. Being different is not um, something that scares me. What what was weird in those interactions was when I was voicing my opinions, my perspectives, I was not heard. And this is something that I just don't tolerate. I think things are a little bit better now for women in science, but I have been in situations where I was in the room just because they needed a woman, or I was in the room uh, the because individuals appreciated my expertise and experience, but were not prepared to listen to me because I was a woman. So at some point, even raising my voice gently made a difference, and also bringing back to the to the room why we collectively as professionals are there and what expertise we're bringing. Um, you know, for young women, don't let anyone make you question whether you belong in science ever. You do. Science isn't about fitting a stereotype. It's about asking questions, solving problems, contributing your unique perspective. The scientific community needs your idea, your creativity, and your voice. And find mentors who encourage your curiosity. Surround yourself with people who believe in you and in your potential. And remember that every scientist, no matter how accomplished, started out not knowing the answers. I was very fortunate to seek out individuals who really supported and uplifted me. And there were men and women in astronomy, individuals who made sure that I am in the places I belong to, that when I doubted myself, I questioned those doubts and I questioned even stereotypes in my mind. We all come with our biases, but when those biases are being vocalized and those biases are being questioned, we must take a step back and recalibrate and reassert that we belong where we are. We belong in science as women. Because we are women, if not anything else, we bring different perspectives. And those perspectives are necessary, are essential for science to move forward in a healthy way. Just imagine, sometimes people are asking me in leadership roles, right? How do you deal with dissent? You walk in a boardroom and you work with 20 people, you see 20 opinions, right? There's some opinions that you don't agree with, and some that might be a little bit more aggressive than others. And my take is that I love varying opinions. I really love hearing what others have to say, because that reveals some of my blind spots, some of the things that I don't know. You don't know what you don't know, when you don't know it, right? How are you going to find out? And you find out by listening, and you find out by taking into consideration what others have to say. Women bring strength, resilience, and a different viewpoint in every room. And this is what we need to realize, and we need to accept and own every time we walk in any room, both in professional and our personal life. So, women in science, for the girls, women out there, do it. Just do it. And even if you are science focused, but you don't want to do science in your life, just keep in mind that there are these scientists out there who look up to you to help us make progress.
And that takes some real courage to share. Yes, I got that more than the gender, it's our individuality and the perspectives that matter to make anything work. Okay, so
Absolutely.
here's one directly from our students. What's one piece of advice you'd give a grade 9 girl who loves science but is scared no one will take her seriously? I guess you've already answered that, but would like an elaboration on that.
Care that no one's, something, my generation of women, every generation of women are trying to create safe spaces so that you are not scared that anyone will take you seriously. And I know we're not doing the perfect job, but we will die trying. Do science, follow your heart, follow your brain. You always belong anywhere you are. The fear might be within you. Go to your teachers, take their advice. There are wise people who really have your interests at heart. And those individuals will help you and will help you deal with your doubts. Keep asking questions. And remember, science needs you. Science needs curious people. Science does not need perfect people. There's no such thing as a perfect person. So if you need, look at your male peers around. They do have doubts. They do have questions about their worth. They just don't voice it. It's simple as that. So if you're willing to ask questions, work hard, and keep learning, there is absolutely a place for you in science. And by science, I mean physics, astrophysics, but also engineering, computer science, artificial intelligence. Maybe you will be the person who will finally get humans on Mars. You never know what you can do until you try it, and you should try.
Definitely. Now that's something I think everyone here needed to hear. So the last question in this round, if you could go back and tell 12-year-old Stella one thing, what would that be?
Oh, goodness, that's so interesting. I would actually tell her not to doubt herself. That is one thing that we just came up from. I would tell 12-year-old Stella to follow, be more daring. I was always a very daring child. As I said, I was a scientist, even in our household, and I was a danger scientist in our household. I was the one who was making experiments in the kitchen, making things, putting things on fire, and dangerous experiments. I would tell Stella to actually enjoy my friends and and hobbies a little bit more, because I remember I was very stressed out as a child, and I don't really know why. I really wanted to succeed, and there was an obsession that success does not go along with enjoying life. That's not true. That's definitely not true. As I said, we live in a small planet. We're going to live for 100 years. 100 years is nothing. Make the most of it. Every phase in your life needs to be celebrated and embraced. So when you are 12-year-old Stella, to have relaxed more, to have been a little bit more, she have found more joy in her hobbies. I loved music at the time. I was playing a musical instrument. It was when I was learning French and English growing up. I wish I watched more movies. How about that? I wish I spent more time with my friends. But if there's a 12-year-old child out there that needs encouragement and needs a piece of advice, enjoy being 12-year-old while you're learning, but enjoy 12, 13, 14, 15, etc. It's
Oh,
unique.
which instrument did you learn?
I played the accordion.
Okay.
This was this huge piece. I have a picture where the accordion is almost as big as I was,
Oh,
right next to it. But I felt that I held the whole orchestra in my hands. I felt very fearless with it. It's a beautiful instrument that can play a wide range of music. And I wish I didn't have to desert it when I moved in the US, but it was a huge piece of instrument. I just couldn't take it with me.
okay. So on that note, let's end on something fun. Are you ready for a lightning round as your younger
Oh
Stella
dear.
wanted?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So it's again a rapid fire. Just answer whichever comes to your mind first. Let's start. Milky Way or Mars?
Milky Way, 100%.
Telescope or microscope?
Telescope, 100 times.
What's your dog Ruru's favorite thing about you being an astronomer?
I think he likes his treats more than me being an astronomer.
One word to describe your career so far?
Agility.
Okay. And finally, a message for all the Kerala public school students watching right now and to all the young aspirants over there.
Don't let uncertainty stop you from exploring something that excites you. Just do it. And thank you for listening.
Dr. Kafka, thank you so much for your time, your honesty, and for making space feel a little closer to home for all of us today. And as a student, it truly meant the world to me to get to host you. This has been our very first episode, and we couldn't have asked for a better guest to start with, definitely.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
It was great talking to you, and I got to know a lot of things about astrophysics, which, though I didn't have much knowledge, but I was somewhere fascinated with the stars and all of it. But yes, we also live in a city which has no dark skies for stargazing. But then still, I would definitely like to go on with this. So,
Never, you know, if I am to leave you with one piece of advice, never let anything or anybody limit your dreams. You want to do science, do it. You want to observe the Milky Way, you will at some point.
definitely.
I'm sure you will.
And thank you so much for it. It will stay with me forever. Okay, so now we'll have our team with us for the closing.
The team that has been working relentlessly, Dr. Kafka, behind the camera. This is the team that has been working for the last 2 weeks. They haven't had a good sleep. They've been working nonstop, trying to make everything perfect. And right beside Srijita is the principal of the school where this podcast is taking place. She is Mrs. Sharmila Mukherjee, and to her left is Chandrima. She is a senior school teacher. And right behind her, behind the principal, is Miss Shubha Chaube, and again a senior school teacher. And to Srijita's right at the back is teacher Veena, again a senior school teacher and a coordinator. And behind him in the black shirt is the gentleman who has been working non-stop to get everything going. So Chandrima and Saikat, the gentleman in black, he's a bioscience teacher there. He's been working non-stop, like really non-stop. And in the white shirt, the gentleman is Mr. Binoy, again, a senior school physics teacher, if I'm not wrong. So this is the team, and a bigger team is also there. And we have nothing but a lot of gratitude to you for being on our podcast. A very humble attempt from our side to encourage the girls in our schools and all over, whoever watches this podcast, to get a lot of inspiration and motivation and courage from today's talk with you. Thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Thank you so much, and thanks to you. And I would like to say one thing to the teachers out there. I admire and respect for what you're doing. What you're doing is a service, not only to science, but to society. And thank you so much for your resilience and for your time and for your energy and for your passion. Without you, people like me would not be able to be here. So gratitude, respect, and keep doing the really good work and having an impact to society and to people like me.
We'd like our relationship, our interaction to go on, Dr. Kafka, even beyond this podcast. So if our children would want to ask you something or any questions, we will find a way to get in touch with you again so that we are able to encourage our children to take your path.
Anytime. You know how to find me. I would love to interact with you again. And if you want to have like a roundtable with your students, I met one of the brilliant students that you have here as a host of the podcast, and I'm impressed. So let's keep talking. Let's keep our relationship grow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again, and have a lovely day, Dr. Kafka.
Thank you as well. Bye.
Thank you so much.